Our submenus are looking the way that we want them to, but we still need to address their rollover behavior. So I have the dropdown.htm file open from the 05_04 directory. And the first thing I wanted to take a look at was the existing style for our rollovers so that we could kind of see what it is that we'll need to overwrite for our submenu. So I'm looking at the LIA:hover selector here on line 68 or so. So we've got it setting the background of that darker brown color. We're giving it a height of 2 ems, but we're also adding 0.3 ems padding to the top for the rounded corners. We're positioning it with relative positioning so that we can move it up by 0.3 ems, which is what the top value there is doing. And then we're applying a border radius of 0.3 ems for the 2 top corners. And all those are combining to form that sort of tab look and feel to them. Well, that's great, but for our submenus, it's not what we want. Number one, it's going to cause the submenus items to change size when you roll over them, which is going to disrupt the entire submenu. And of course, we don't really need that tabbed structure. So we need to be able to overwrite that. I'm going to scroll down into my drop-down menu styles, and at the very bottom, I'm just going to create a new rule. And this is going to be ul.submenu space li space a:hover. So again, we're targeting when any link is hovered over that's inside one of the submenu list items. Now, inside that, I'm just going to start overriding some of those properties that we were just talking about. The first thing I want to do is change the background color from that darker brown, because in our submenus, remember, that's the foreground color. So we want it to stand out. And we'll just use that orange color that we already have on the nav bar. It'll give a nice contrast between the brown, and it'll keep the color scheme consistent. So that's going to be pound D5973C. Then we're going to set the height to 2 ems, which will make sure they're all the same height as the links when they're not being rolled over. We're going to set the padding top to 0.2 ems. If you remember, the top one had expanded that padding to allow for the tab up top. I'm going to set the top value to 0. Now, here's the reason I'm doing that. I don't really necessarily need to change the positioning value, because being relatively positioned, they're still within normal document flow. So it's not like absolute positioning where it removes them. What I do need to do, though, is keep the positioning from offsetting it up that negative 0.3 ems, which is what's happening above that. So I'm just taking that top value and I'm overriding that with 0, which is going to hold it in place. We need to get rid of that border radius. So I'm going to use border radius of 0, and I can just use shorthand notation there and make it 0 all the way across. And that's going to take care of those curved borders on the top right and the top left corners. So let's see how that works. I'm going to go ahead and save the file. I'll preview this in one of my browsers. And if I scroll down now and hover over the submenu items, that's exactly what I'm looking for. You can see the items are no longer shifting due to the change in height. We don't have that brown color that's the same, so we can actually tell when we're rolling over things now. And we don't have any of the rounded corners, so we're not getting that tab look. Our submenu is looking exactly the way we want it to, which is perfect. Now we just need to move on to talking about controlling the positioning of the submenus and controlling when it should and should not display.